what comes with it, and a lot comes with it. Next, many people don't reach their goals because they become comfortable. The Living Bible translation, Philippians 3:13, says, I have not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing. When we get satisfied, ladies and gentlemen, we stop growing. We don't want much out of life. We'll stop learning, stop pushing ourselves. George Bernard Shaw said this. He said, success is to finish one's business on earth like a male spider who was killed by the female spider the moment he has succeeded in his courtship. Which means once the male spider has now impregnated, the female kills it, because that's all he was for. He goes on to say, I like a state of continuing to become with a goal in front and not behind. There's a process of you continuing to become. If you really want to grow, someone said, I really want to grow in God. The only way you really grow in God is that you're always pressing towards a mark of a high calling. And while I'm pressing towards the mark, I'm always in the process of becoming. Watch this. It's not about the goal you reach, but what you become in the process. So many of us are really trying to get this thing, but you're not really understand. The journey is just as important as the destination. Then another thing that keeps us from reaching our goals and going forward is that we got this feeling, I feel so unworthy. Lord, I'm unworthy. You hear people pray about it in church. Lord, I'm so unworthy. Lord, bless me, but I'm unworthy. Can you imagine your daddy sitting up there telling you you're an ambassador, you're a king, you're a priest, and all that, and every time you pray, Lord, I'm just so unworthy. And God say, right, okay, I'm going to give you unworthy stuff. I'm a good God who wants to give good gifts. I'm a God that wants to bless you. You were dirty, filthy rags, but when I look at you with the blood of my son, I see you in perfection. We are already, don't sit here and tell me how unworthy you are. We established that a long time ago, and that's why I put my spirit in you, and when you talk to me, we are talking to each other. And I want to bring you into a place, but see, that when people think that they're unworthy, then they become stuck, and they become stuck because they deal now in self-destructive actions and behaviors. Call themselves putting things off or procrastination. My wife tells me I'm a piddler. And a piddler is like, when I take my daughter to school, you know, she'll say, okay, I'm ready. And then there's about 4 things I need to do right when she says she's ready. I just start wasting time. I just got to fix that. Pray for me. Please know, God, I say this all the time, God expects measurable progress in a reasonable amount of time. He does not like procrastinators. Procrastination decreases your options. The longer you wait, the less options you have to get help. If you were going, at least if I'm trying, God, if your heart's right, God will fix it. If my heart is right and I'm trying to, and I just make the wrong move, God will fix it. But if you wait till the last moment, you don't have time for adjustment. What's this? What's this? What's this? I said, understand, wasting time is wasting life because time is what life is made of. Today is the only time we have. It's the only day we got. I read you this quote before by Benjamin Franklin. One day is worth 2 tomorrows, and what I am to be, I am now becoming. Right now is the only time you have. I'm talking to somebody who's sitting up and who's gotten comfortable where you are. Someone once said it's better to be prepared for the opportunity and not have one than to have one and not be prepared. The fourth and final reason why we don't press towards the mark of the high calling and get in the place that God has ordained is complaining and blaming. There's a certain group of people, look at your neighbor, who got a reason why they ain't where they supposed to be, and it's about somebody else's fault. Everything in their life went wrong because of somebody else, never taking responsibility for their own actions. The only person you can fix, y'all, is you. I close with this. There's a man who walking by his neighbor's house, and when he's walking by his neighbor's house, the neighbor's sitting on the porch, and they had a dog. And the dog was sitting on the porch with the man, and the dog was moaning and groaning. And the dog kept moaning and groaning, so the neighbor stops and he said, "Why is your dog always moaning and groaning? What's wrong with him?" And the neighbor looked at him and said, "Because he's laying on a nail." And he looked up at the neighbor, and the owner, and he said, "Well, why don't he get off the nail?" And the owner replied, "It's not hurting him bad enough to get up." Some of you are laying on a nail. Every day you get up, you moaning and groaning. You ain't done nothing to change it. You haven't done anything different than you did the other day and last week. And you rather moan and groan and sit on the nail every day. Because the pain of life doesn't hurt you bad enough to change. And you're satisfied complaining and blaming, when the only person that can fix it for you is you. The reason why people don't change stuff is because they can tolerate it. A lot of us are broke because we can tolerate being broke. People don't change anything until they get sick and tired. When you get sick and tired of certain situations, when you look back over your life and looked and see major change that happened, and you pressed towards and pushed out and got away from being complacent and sitting up just hanging with the crowd, it was because you woke up one day and said, "I'm tired of this stuff. I'm so sick of it. I got to do something different." And you started doing something different. And things started happening. And you started sitting there, and this satisfaction, dissatisfaction hit you. I got to catch hold of what apprehended me. There was a day in your life when God showed you who you were. And if you can find that moment, and God said, "Tag, you're it." He created a hunger and thirst for you to actually come after him. He gave you enough about where you were going to pique your interest, to the point you had to say, "Something got a hold of me." It was a feeling, it was something that I can't quite describe, but I know it was God. And now I need to get a hold of what got a hold of me. And I'm never going to get comfortable where I am. And every time I get to a certain level, I'm going to press even forward. And when I get to another level, I'm going to press even forward. Press is not an easy thing. Press means to push through. It means to struggle. It means to change my schedule. It means to labor for a moment. I'm going to push in faith. There's a higher calling. And help is really on the way. But if somebody came and tried to pull you out of the ditch and you wanted to stay there, you said, "Child, I've been in this ditch so long, I don't want to get out." Because when it rains, water come down the little trench, and I scoop some of that water. It's dirty, but Don't you know some people pushed me down here? I can tell you how I got down here. Folk pushed me down here. Well, I'm trying to get you up, but you don't understand. People betrayed me and pushed me down here. What that got to do with right now? Well, I've been down here so long, even the preacher came by, the priest and the Levite, they came by and didn't even help me. You have them people that always got you trying to help them. They trying to tell you who didn't help them. And they sitting on a nail, moaning and groaning and won't get up. I'm reminded of the man who was lame at the pool for 38 years, and when Jesus came and asked him, did he want to be healed? He started talking about, I ain't got no man to put me in the pool. He didn't even answer the question. He forgot why he came to church. Some of you done forgot why you came to church. Do you want to hear from God? Well, I was just sitting over here. Ain't nobody asked you that. You got a bad report, x-ray from the doctor. Do you want to be healed? Well, I don't know if Bishop is going to be praying over people or not tonight. I came hoping he'd do a prayer and oil me down. God sitting there talking to you, Bishop's up here, and you talking to God in the pew, and he's just saying, do you want me to heal you? Was Bishop coming down here? Look. No, Bishop going, what's this now? And I'm through. Because I believe that the man actually heard Jesus, but he wanted to lay on the nail. Why you say that, Bishop? Because he learned how to beg. He had a company of jacked up folk. He got Social Security every month and disability. So if Jesus healed him, he'd had to get a job, get new friends, stop begging, and stop receiving the checks. So I'd rather be jacked up. Please don't heal me today, Jesus. I done learned how to be a moaning dog on a nail than standing up in my potential of who you called me to be. I would have to change my life if you change the conditions. Some of us need to ask, do I really want to be blessed? Because it might mean you got to change friends. It might mean you got to go to work. Because everybody not working really ain't looking. Sunday, I will announce, I want to thank all the people who come on Saturday. I give instructions to pray for jobs. I was going to get lunch yesterday, and a woman was sitting on the front of Starbucks, and she almost tackled me in the parking lot of the restaurant next door and said, I've been looking for you. And she started telling me, you don't remember me, but about 15, back during the Olympics in 1996, I helped her find people to work for the Olympics because she couldn't get folk to work. And she said, I got so many jobs for young men. And she said, I was sitting at Starbucks praying, and I saw you walking across the parking lot. And she said, I got so many jobs for men between the age of 18 and 28. And she said, and I want you to fill them. I said, can you help me with something else? I said, because I got some brothers, real good brothers, who got records and are struggling to get work, and they want to work good people. She said, I got that too. So Sunday, I'm going to tell you where to meet. She needs to run a special class for you and all of that. And if you're between 18 and 28, you're going to go to work if you want to. And she said jobs starting at $13 an hour, so I'm not talking about stuff like that, all right?